Yes, it's recording now.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, then I will start with the first question. First of all, introduce yourself. What do you do? Who are you?
Okay. Right. My name is Hassan Akram, and I'm actually into customer services for the past 15 years, I would say. And for as far as customer success manager is concerned, I've been doing this role for the past 5 years. And other than that, technology is my second religion. I love tech. I recently got Oculus Quest 2, so I'm actually exploring that virtual reality headset these days. It's amazing. I love it. And other than that, I am a member of a public speaking club. It's called Toastmasters. Uh, have you ever heard about Toastmasters?
Nee, 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 I haven't. What do you do there?
So you Google it, you will know. Uh, so Toastmaster is a worldwide club. Basically, it's a non-profitable organization. They have club all around the globe, and they help you with public speaking and leadership skills. So I am currently serving. I was the president of Rawalpindi Toastmasters Club in the past, last year. Now I am serving as area director and managing 6 clubs at the moment. So with public speaking, they help you in developing those leadership skills as well. And those skills are really helping me in my customer success job as well. I will connect the dots in the later conversation, but that is actually helping me a lot. So these are my 3 interests. And last, I love doing bodybuilding. I'm into fitness. So before work, I do 1 hour workout and then I start doing my work. So that's my brief introduction.
Okay, so then let's move into customer success. So you said you were working like since the past 5 years, in like as a customer success manager. So if I would ask you like, what are your daily tasks? Like, what do you do, when we talk about customer success management?
Right. Before I answer this question, I would like to highlight a very important thing which most of the people do not talk about, and that is having a mindset of a customer success manager. We have a lot of folks on our team who are hired as a CSM. They're just doing job just to earn money. But
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about myself, of course, money is one factor. But the second factor is I love my job every single day. The way I talk to my customer and the way I run my operations, I'll explain. I love that. So it's very important for you to have a customer success manager mindset. It's not a job, it's a mindset. If a person does not have a customer success manager mindset, he's just like another support or a sales guy. That's all. But in order to have a mindset of a customer success manager, that's really important, number one. So my daily routine is that I have to make certain calls to my customers. I'll explain what I'm doing. So basically, I've been assigned almost 100 accounts as a book of business. I have to maintain their renewals. I have to upsell them different products. I have to help them with the technical problems. I have to help them when they are not doing good. I have to train them. So training, sales, support, tech support, everything is included. Um, the very important thing when while you're being a customer success manager, when you're talking to a customer, it is really important for you to understand the persona of the person to whom you're talking to. Let's say I'm talking to the screen right
Mm-hmm.
now, and I know, I mean, if I would have been talking to you for quite a long time, I will understand your persona, your personality, and then I'll strategize my conversation accordingly. Giving you a small example, I'm in the trucking industry, so we have fleet managers, fleet admins, dispatcher. These are different roles, and I have to liaise with these different people at different point in time. If I'm talking to a dispatcher, my conversation would be totally different. If I'm talking to a fleet manager, my conversation would be totally different. If I'm talking to the owner of the company, my conversation is entirely different. So it's very important for you to understand the persona of that particular role to whom you're talking to, else your conversation will lead to nowhere.
And how do you identify this with the persona? Do you write it down? Like every single step, like the behavioral aspect, the body language, or things they like, or just like, do you have a like proper routine where you write it down after every meeting, or do you have like a tool which you use to write it down,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
do you have a proper strategy
I
for this?
explain. So, I'm using a third-party tool which I was recently introduced. It's called Sonaro. It's an AI assistant, just like you and I are talking to each other. So I can integrate that software, and a third person, a bot, will jump in into this meeting, and that bot will take notes, action items, every single thing.
Oh my God, I did not know that something like this
I'll,
exists.
I can show you the demo, the for the meetings. Even that software will actually tell you the sentiment, how much percentage was positive conversation, negative, neutral. Even it also records your crunch words like okay, so and blah blah blah. It also gives you the pacing that, let's say I am very passionate while I'm talking. It gives me while I was passionate. This is my score, your score. That software is amazing. So and it records the meeting as well without letting the other person know that's being recorded, but because it itself that bot record the whole meeting, you don't have to click the recording button.
Mm. Wow,
So
so you get a lot of information about the person, about how he's feeling right now, about the mood, about what he likes, what he dislikes, what are the, like, if you are planning to do agenda for the next meeting, it's everything. Oh my God, I did not know that. I have to write it down.
and to your surprise, this is not being funded by my company. I explored it myself,
Oh.
and yeah. So right now I'm using a trial version. I do have intention to pay for that software, just $35 per month. I can manage that, so I will keep on using that because that is helping me a lot.
And before that, how were you managing
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So before that, I used to take notes on Notepad. And then when I'm done with the conversation, I used to put up a complete note for the management to see. So yeah, I used to take notes manually.
Yeah. And did you have a structure like when you were writing these notes, okay, these are behavioral aspects, these are mood aspects, these are,
No,
for
no,
example, no,
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 no, no.
okay, no, okay.
So I only used to take notes pertaining to the conversation that is relevant to the company. Okay, when I'm saying persona or when we're talking about personification, it's not about knowing that person in on a personal level. It's like, let's say you're a dispatcher. So your daily task would be different. You will be managing the dispatch part. If I'm talking to the fleet manager, he's managing the drivers. He's concerned about their compliance. Are they doing good, or they are complying to all the regulations? When I'm talking to the safety manager, he's only concerned about safety, the dash cameras, the technology we have. So I'm going to give you some small example. So let's say if I'm in a new CSM and I don't know about this personification idea. So even if I used to do that, that was a mistake. So let's say I'm talking to a safety manager. I don't have to talk about dispatch features on my dashboard. I don't have to talk about how he's managing the drivers. Is he concerned about the locations of the drivers? No. He's only concerned about safety. But I used to bombard or overwhelm that person with all the information
Mm,
so that was a failure because I got a reply from a few of my customers, dude, we're wasting time. I'm only concerned about safety. Tell me about that.
mm,
So it's very important for you to understand which role you're talking to. But I have few customers when I call them, they take my name. Hey, hello. We use pseudonyms, so they say, "Hey, hello, Harrison. How are you?" I mean, they greet me in a way that they're my friends. I have one customer. She is 51 years old. She was ex-military, and she's working in a trucking company. She is my friend. Whenever I call her. Other than work, we'll talk about her life, how she's doing for like hours and hours. So I have that kind of a conversation with few of my customers. Not every customer is that much comfortable or flexible, but it's your skills because and she mentioned in one of the shout out email, the previous CSM who was managing her, that account was handed over to me last month. So it's just 1 month. She mentioned in the email that the last CSM was good, but the way you are conducting the operations and the way you're dealing with me, that is something really amazing. I'm not saying, and she mentioned in the email that I'm not saying the previous CSM was okay or he was not doing good, but you have got some extra skills. So I must
mm.
appreciate you. So
So
it's all about, sorry, go ahead.
nice. Sorry, you can. Yeah.
So it's all about, as I said in the start, if you love your job, you do wonders. So okay, and one more thing. So let's say I'm dialing a number, customer picked up. When customers say hello, the tone of hello speaks for everything. And uh, it is very important for me as a CSM to have a DJ voice. This is a concept which I use. If I am talking like, hey, hello, Taskin, how are you? How's the weather? Blah blah. What I'm saying, hey Taskin, how you doing? How's the day? So you see the excitement in my voice, that drives the whole conversation. If my voice is dull, it's just like the other person is least bothered. But if my voice is like a DJ voice, I'm doing a show in, or RJ voice, I'm doing a show on radio, I need to be very energetic in my voice, and that has an impact on customer and the way we lead the conversation.
Did you train that, or like was it naturally? Were you
Uh,
a very like this kind of person who is really enthusiastic and
uh, uh,
energetic?
Even that Sonaro AI software, when I look at my stats, it always says that Hasanakaram, you have a great pitch and you have energetic voice. So I think it's in me, and I love my job, so that's why I am super excited always. Be it the last hour of the day, I love it.
Did you ever experience like customers who were like really in a bad mood and they were like, no, I don't have time, and they were like, it did not like went well. They were saying like always contra things
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
against you. So did you experience something like that? How do you deal
Of
with that?
of course, it happens all the time. So the way I deal it, if customer is saying, dude, I'm busy, I don't have to push him to talk to me. I can talk to some other customer. I mean, not every customer has got the same mood. So if someone is not interested in talking to me, that's okay. I have 97 accounts on my book of business, or 100. I can talk to someone else. I don't have to push that person to talk to me. Um, One more thing, this is very important. When I was a new CSM, whenever I used to make call to my customers, and before I talk to the customer, I mean, even when the customers say hello, I used to have that mindset that he's a very busy person. I have to wrap up my call quick, 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 quick. But I realized that's not good, because I'm here to make relationship with my customers, to help them to understand their business model. So if I have that assumption in my mind that this person is busy and I have to wrap up my call, just uh, ask different questions and then boom, so that's not going to work. So I changed my mindset, and I told myself that I will only say bye to the customer when he will say, dude, I'm busy, I'm not in the mood to talk right now, so we can talk some other time. Now I don't have that idea in my mind that customer is busy. I always tell my mind that this call is important, this call is important for this customer, because I have to use those power words to tell the customer that how important my role is, and why my company has hired me to this role and paying me some hefty amount, because it has some value to their business. So they need to understand that.
For me, as you're saying, I had that in the beginning too. Like the same thing. I think the person who is doing interview with me is maybe busy and I have to wrap up. I have to do things faster. They're taking time
Now,
for me. Like I literally had this also last week when I was conducting an interview. I was like,
Haris, with Haris?
not with Harris. That was someone. Diego. He was called, and he also said me that he will do weekend shifts for his customers. And I was feeling guilty. I'm like, I'm taking his time.
No, no,
And
no, no, no,
so
no.
I had that mindset. I can totally understand you. But now I'm learning.
And Taski, you know what? Yeah, you know what? So when you're talking to someone, let's say we're talking to each other, maybe we have booked this meeting for like maybe half hour, but maybe the conversation we will go in a way that we can talk for like an hour or so. It all depends on the content you're giving to the customer, or are you actually making a difference by telling those techniques which can help customers in running his or her task on daily basis. Let's say if someone is a safety manager and our safety dashboard is very complex, to be very honest. But if I know as a trainer how to train my customer on that dashboard in a layman language, because that's what my job is. So if he's seeing a value, And if he apply those features, which I'm telling him right now, which will eventually reduce his manpower, definitely he would be interested in listening to more. I have booked meeting with my customer for 30 minutes, and to your surprise, those meetings were prolonged to 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and customer was okay in having that conversation with me. So it's all about you develop a interest, and when those two parties resonate with each other, they see the value, then time is just a byproduct.
Would you then say that that's exactly a part of this mindset being a customer success manager? You said customer success is a mindset. It is not a job. And you said previously you had a mindset of, okay, I have to wrap it up, maybe the customer is busy, and now you have developed another understanding, another mindset, which is like, okay, I have to take time. Value is the most important thing, like for both the sides, to show the customer, okay, this is the value you will get. This is and what would you else like use, what kind of terms to define this kind of mindset? Like, what are the elements of this customer success mindset besides this?
Very nice, very good question. Yeah, yeah. So the very first thing that defines the mindset of a customer success is that if you should be a person who's very passionate in having a conversation with anyone, not just a customer, anyone.
Mm.
You should have that tendency of having a fun factor in having a conversation, an intellectual conversation with someone. Secondly, uh, for you to have a mindset, it is also very important that you have a strategic mindset. You should not be a person who is wearing a headgear and just talking to the customer. You know how to strategize things at certain points. Strategy is very important because if you're not having a strategic conversation, you're just a person who's trained to do something which you are doing. I'm gonna give you example. So uh, in the current, we have different uh, spiffs or incentive plans every month. Now this month, our company has a plan, a spiff, or we call spiff a plan for earning extra money. So now we in this month we have two, we call it adoption calls. Adoption call means we have to call the customers, and the conversation should be of 15 minutes and more. And you have to talk about all the new features which we have developed so that customer create a dependency on customers' business so that they use our dashboard. Now, what I am doing differently from my other peers, now when I'm making calls, and I shared this feedback with my managers as well. When I'm making calls, instead of 15-minute call, they're supposed to be 15-minute calls, but those calls are prolonged to 1 hour, 30 minute,
Mhm.
45 minutes. Why? Now let's say my customers are using a safety feature. It's a feature they are paying for. You're frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's say one of the safety feature they're using. Now I'm having that kind of a conversation with the customer. I'm asking them. So since you have been using our safety feature for like 1 year now, I want to ask if you rate that behave because the safety is for specifically for the behavior of the drivers, how they're driving. So I normally now I ask them, and this is not someone taught me. This is something which is coming straight from my heart, or I think I should ask this. So I ask them questions. Since you're using this safety hub for like more than 1 year or maybe 5 months, I want to ask you a question as a safety manager. Before having this solution, what was the behavior? How do you rank the behavior of those drivers?
Mm.
And now, since you're using this solution, where do you see the change in your driver's behavior? When I'm asking this question, I'm trying to understand if they're really getting something out of our system. If they're not, then my job is to tell them how they can get those stats and see. And to my surprise, when I ask these questions to different customers, I got a reply that, well, that's a good question, but we don't know because we never got a chance to do some kind of analysis on data.
Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah, so I told them now that we have a report section in a dashboard. There are different built-in reports which you can download
Mm.
and run some formulas and do some maths and see your standing. You can compare data. One of the lady, she said, I am a safety girl, but I'm not a manager. It's a manager's job to run through these data. And you know what my answer was? I said, okay, that's fair. But if manager is not doing that, why don't you, since you're not manager, why
Mm.
don't you play with those numbers, show it to your boss? Maybe he got him, he will be impressed and he will make you a manager. How about that?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so,
That's all strategy. That's all strategy. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
so
I
no, no. In simple words, no one is teaching me those things, but I am passionate about my role, and even when I'm discussing these things with my voice, you can see how much passionate I'm right
yeah,
now when I'm
yeah,
talking to those talking about those ideas. Um, at the end of the day, in layman language, CSM is like a soldier with gun in his hand. When I'm saying gun and bullets, the gun and bullets are the product knowledge and the strategy you have. If you have bullets, you have gun, you're in the battlefield, you don't know how to shoot those bullets at the right spot at the right time,
yeah,
you are just a waste. You're just a normal soldier who's doing nothing for the country. When I'm saying country, for the company. So I
yeah.
treat myself as a soldier who has got all the bullets, and I know how to, shoot them at the right time.
So basically, in during the conversation, you ask the customer and make him realize the value of the product or whatsoever by asking them, okay, what was before you had that product or feature? How would you rate it then? And now after having this feature, how would you rate them? And at the point when they realize that, they see the value of the feature and they're more concerned about like doing, for example, the all the upselling and going like booking more feature and whatsoever. They're more open to that because they're like now seeing the value of it.
Yeah, that's what exactly I meant. And one more thing, which is very important, and I want to highlight that as well. Um, Even I talked to the enablement team to make that a part of the training, which is not at the moment. Now, let's say you're using an iPhone,
Mm-hmm,
right? You have multiple features,
mm-hmm,
and you're not familiar with all those features. Let's say Samsung approached the screen and tell you that, well, the screen, you're using an iPhone, we know that, but this is a feature which only Samsung is offering. So, and they know why that feature is important for you because they have done some analysis, and you will be sold to Samsung because you badly need that feature. But let's say same scenario, and you're using an iPhone, and Hassan Akram is your customer success manager from Apple, and I conduct business reviews with you every single quarter.
mm-hmm.
And my job is to tell you all the features which you can see in your phone, and you get the most out of it. Because right now, I think a normal human being is using 40% of the features available in the phone. 60% we don't even know, but they exist. So let's say if my job is to make you understand all the features, and I am keep on telling you those features, and imagine the same scenario, Samsung call you and tell you that this is the feature which we're offering you, and only Samsung offers that, and you will be like, "Come on, I have that feature on my phone, so don't try to
Okay,
play with."
yeah.
So yeah, it's like you should know that whatever customers are paying for, they know what they are paying for, and that's not all. At the same time, it's very important for you to how to position that particular feature. Let's say we have one feature. I'm giving you example. Since I'm from the company which is in trucking industry, we have a feature. We have a small box, our ELD we call it. The main purpose customers are purchasing that ELD is for compliance purpose, so they know
Mm-hmm,
where the drivers are at and blah. But on top of that, we have a feature where our ELD scans the whole engine of the truck and gives you fault code that this is the fault code at this point at a certain part of the engine. You need to get that checked from mechanic. Now, there is one way I can tell, okay, we have this feature. You just need to go to this report, download this report. This is the feature. They will tell you this is the fault code. But if I position this feature, I can position this feature in another way where I can say, Mr. Customer, our ELD is smart enough not only to give you logs, but it is also smart enough to scan the whole engine of the truck and give you the fault codes, which can help you in getting to know the health of the truck itself, and it can save you from future big accidents just because of those malfunctions. Now you see, I I told the customer about the same feature, but in the second way I explained that to the customer, it has some value. The positioning was different.
Mm,
I told the customer, if you will use this, you will save this much amount of cost in terms of accidents or any malfunction, which can cause big problem. So
mm,
why don't you proactively use that?
mm,
So the way you position can determine, again, example of Apple, Steve Jobs actually did not sold iPhone at the launch. He sold us the features, that how cool the phone is. You can
mm,
pinch in, pinch out to make the pictures big and small. You can type without keys. I mean, we used to have small PDF phones at that time with full computers in our pocket, but the way Steve Jobs positioned iPhone is simply amazing. So the
yeah.
way you position the product actually determines that you're a successful person or not.
You have a lot of technical knowledge about the job you're doing. As you said, being passionate about goes along with having this kind of knowledge. But imagine you're sitting with a customer and the customer actually gives you feedback about a certain feature, about a technical part, and they say they're not satisfied with that. So, do you have then a meeting with the technical department and say, hey, we can improve that? Or how often do you have in year the meeting with, in general, with like the technical department?
Good question. So we have a product team. Let's say I'm talking to a customer and it's facing some technical problem,
Mhm.
and I got it that there is a technical problem. So I simply create a case for the technical team to get that thing resolved. But if something which is not a part of the dashboard or something which is not present, and customer is asking to build that, so we have a policy that we have to log a product feedback form which you have to fill so that our product team can see and they reply us back if that is feasible or not. In some cases, if there is a technical, let's say safety dashboard, it's very complicated, I told you. So if someone wants to understand the algorithm or how it works in more technical way, so we involve technical people as well as the owner of the product itself to be a part of that meeting
Yeah.
where we will explain or answer customers' question to satisfy them. So yeah, we do involve or liaise with different departments to give success to the customers in simple words.
And you also talked about the quarterly business review meeting. What is this quarterly business review meeting about? Like, what is the content of it, and how many people like participate in that?
Good. So we call it executive business review,
Mhm,
and the name suggests executive business review means we have to talk. We have to talk to the company owners, the dispatchers, the managers, who's managing the whole company, and the drivers. So we have to conduct those every quarter, and the main purpose, there are two purposes. Number one, uh, in those we have to present certain slides to the customers, but before that, my strategy is to, let's say, you're using our service and you're our safety manager. So when I'm having a conversation with you, I will ask you at the start of the meeting that I want to understand how the Skin is using the system before I jump into all the features. I want to understand your workflow, how you are using the system, so that I'm in a better position to understand, okay, the Skin has keen interest on these features. So my conversation would revolve around these. And if I have some time, I'll talk about some small features which can be beneficial as well. So the very first thing is to understand the Skin's workflow. At the
mhm,
same time, asking different questions, I will understand the business model. Let's say
mhm,
you're an employee of XYZ company, how you guys operate, because every single person has a different business model. You
mhm.
cannot, if you don't understand the business model and you keep on pushing your features in that quarterly or executive business review, it's a complete failure.
Okay.
The main thing is to understand your business model, understand the customer's workflow, and then strategize your conversation right away. But
Mm,
the slides are there to give you some sort of agenda at what we have to discuss in that meeting. Also, we have recently introduced a new slide deck, which we call it Titan. In that slide deck, we talk about just numbers, not features,
mhm,
numbers. Let's say you're using this. So uh, for the past 3 months, these are your stats. And if anything is not up to the mark, how you can improve on those numbers. Even we talk about customers' quarterly plans. Let's say you are a safety manager. So I
Mm-hmm.
will ask you, the scheme, what are your 3 months goal
Mm-hmm.
in terms of safety? How you intend to improve a safety score? What are your strategies? And so that I can put in my 5 cents in your strategy and make it more appropriate so that it's a success for you and me both.
And what are, you said you have presentation slides which like somehow give the agenda and points to discuss. I'm really curious about like what actually you discussed during this a business review or executive review meeting. You said of course the business model is really important, the other side, but from your side, the scores, and of course what you want to reach in the next 3 or 4 months. So in the next meeting, you will talk about have we reached that or not, our
Yeah,
goals, probably,
yeah, yeah,
and all the other discussion points. Like, can you give me a short insight into like what are the like? I also asked a customer success manager, and he sent me also the slides of how it is structured, because for me the understanding like how what are the points you talk about really important, because I don't have this knowledge. I'm here and you're the customer success manager and you know how things go on. I don't know that. So every time you tell me something, my question would be like, what exactly is this? And how does it look like? And what are the like points of discussion? So you said you have a kind of agenda. Can you give me a short like,
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. So in agenda, normally, the first slide we talk about the business model and what exactly they are doing, how they are doing. And I also have additional slide in my slide deck in which I ask random questions like, um, since you have purchased a solution, so what was the purpose of having our solution? Number
mhm,
one. Number two, since you have purchased a solution, are you satisfied with whatever you have purchased?
yeah,
Third, if you, in case if you're not satisfied, what are the challenges? So I
mhm,
note down those challenges and I mark those as high important, and then I do have a follow-up call after the meeting by liaising with different department if that issue has been resolved or not. It's like the meeting. The main purpose of the meeting is to understand the current sentiment of the customer.
mhm,
Is he happy or not?
mhm,
At the same time, understand the, okay, so make it very simple. Understanding the business model,
mhm,
understanding the persona of that particular
mhm,
person to whom you're talking to or the owner, and at the same time, if um, the software is actually helping them or serving the purpose. And last thing is the sentiment of the overall company in terms of your product. Because if you don't know the sentiment of the customer, if it's a high risk churn, and you realize that after some time, it's a failure on a CSM end, because my job is to have a periodic check with my customer to see if they are going doing good. If I don't know and customer will churn, that's on me because I was not interacting with them on frequent basis.
yeah. So basically, I would say if I would sum up, most of the time we have the problem that in the beginning we have a customer and he has some expectations regarding the product or whatsoever, and you have to get through your conversation all the expectations he has, all what he wants from you and what is his purpose. And in this executive business review meeting, you then present him and talk with him like, did we fulfill your expectations? So it's a little matching meeting, I would say,
Yeah.
in my mindset, that you match up the expectations and see where is still space left and where you can improve to match up these kind of expectations.
Yeah, and on top of that, I forgot one thing. And if I see, let's say we have multiple hardware solutions, we are providing dash cams, ELDs, there are multiple product list. So while having a conversation, if I realize that there is a chance of an upsell,
Mm-hmm.
let's say customer is just using our small box for maintaining logs, but he's not using a dash camera. So I will not straight away tell him buy our dash cam. do
Okay.
wonders. No, I will ask him, how important is the safety concern for you, or
Mm-hmm.
how important is it for the customer to understand the behavior of his drivers. So there are different probing questions, and after getting answers, I'll be in a better position that if this person is a good fit for this product or not. I don't have to just upsell it. I will have to ask different questions, try to create a need,
Mm-hmm.
and if customer is sold to that need, boom,
Yeah.
you have done an upsell as well.
You have like damn communication skills. I just realized, like, I think one of the most important qualities of a customer success manager is at the end of time, like these kind of communication skills, and also the ability to do some small talks, right, with the customer, not only on the basis of like we're talking about, hey, this is what you want, this is what I want to give, but also on like how he's feeling today, other stuff than just work. I just realized that this is somehow important. There was also a customer success manager I talked with. He said like, no, for me it is really important that we just talk about the things. He tells me what he needs and I talk with him what I can give him, and that's it. My job is not to talk other things around, so it has to go efficient. And I just realized, like with a lot of interviews, that doing small talk is so important with customers. And in this regard, my question would be like, what was the most challenging thing for you so far in the 5 years of a customer success?
I was, if you wouldn't ask, I would have an idea to share with you. So when I was in a customer success position in the same company, but the segment was different. So when I and in that department, I have to make calls and I have to receive calls. I was not supposed to have strategic kind of conversation because the segment was different. It was a lower segment. So one day I receive a call from a customer, and when I say hello, he abused me for like 10 straight minutes. And in our company, we are allowed to hang up on a customer who is abusive
Mhm.
after giving him a warning. But I did something out of the box. So it's a very good story. So he abused me for like straight 10 minutes and he was like, "Are you still there?" I said, "Yes, I am here." And he said, "Well, the previous four reps, they hung up on me, and why you are still listening to me?" And I told him that my job is not to hang up on my customers. My job is to help them. And I do realize at the same time that you were not abusing me. You were abusing my company. So
Mm.
company is big. It's okay. I don't mind. Secondly, and I was apologetic. I told him I'm really apologize for the unpleasant experience and blah blah blah. And he was like, "Well, stop reading from script. I know you guys are from India and you read from script." And I told him, "Sir, very first thing, our company is a big company. They hire people with good communication skills, so we don't need script. That's number one." And after having a conversation, he said, "You don't sound like an American, so okay, because we use pseudonyms, we will pretend that we are in USA, but we are not." So I told him, and he said, "You don't sound like an American, so where are you from?" And our company policy is to not to reveal that. But you know
Mhm.
what? I understood the sentiment of the customer, and I told myself I will be very transparent with this customer. I told him this company is big, it has branches all over the globe, and right now I'm sitting in Islamabad, Pakistan, talking to you. And the reply was amazing. He said, "Wow, you are in Pakistan. I love it." And you know what he said? He said, "My neighbor, he was from Canada. He said, my neighbors are from Pakistan too, and I know how to curse in your language. You want me to start?" I said, "Okay, that." I mean, what I'm trying to say, the conversation lead from a very, very angry customer to a happy customer, and the tools or the bullets which I applied during that conversation was totally out of the company's policy. But why I was not questioned, because even when that call was done, that call was 30 minutes long. That call was sent to the training department, and it reached to the vice president of customer success motive. And vice president listened to the whole conversation of 30 minutes. He's a busy person, but he still listened to the whole conversation. He slacked me that, "Dude, Dude, this is one of the best call I've ever listened to, and you are pro when it comes to retaining a customer. So that was a proud moment for me, and I think if I would have followed the company's policy, that
Mm,
experience which I gave to the customer could not have happened.
yeah.
So at the as you mentioned earlier, that there was a CSM was telling you that I have to restrict myself to just proper business to business communication. No, business to business talk. No, you need to be you need to understand the other person is also a human being. He's also working for a company. You're also
Yeah.
working for a company, but at the end of the day, you two are human beings. You have to be treated like humans. So if you have that connection with your customer, you're a, see, the role of customer success manager means giving success to your customers. How you gonna do that? It's totally your call.
Okay, yeah. And now we had like for the past few years, like COVID. Before that, was it also digital? Like, have you been a customer success, or would you also visit your customers?
You're breaking it.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? My
Yeah,
internet.
yeah, I can hear you now.
Did you
I think
understand the
it's
question?
no. Can you repeat again?
Yeah. Now, like in the past few years, we had like COVID, but before that, was it like also digital for you as a customer success manager, or did you also used to visit your customers?
Oh, good question. So we have segmentation. The segment in which I am working, we don't have to visit our customers, but we have enterprise and mid-market section. Their customer success managers have to visit the customer premises sometimes, but not us.
Yeah. And you said like they use what you did as a training purpose. Imagine I'm now a new member in your team, like you just hired me, and if I would say now, okay, please give me some tips, like what would be like the three tips you would give me to be a better customer success in my initial state, like in the beginning?
Good. And since I am actually helping newbies, so I am in a better position to answer that. So let's
Mhm.
say, can you hear me? Because you're frozen. I'm not sure if you can
I
hear
I
me.
don't know. Your picture is also
Hello?
frozen. Now it's fine. Now it's again stopped.
I think it's my okay.
Now, yeah, yeah. Now it's better. Hello?
Oh, okay. It's fine now. It's fine
Yeah,
now.
it's fine
Yeah,
now.
hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got your question. So let's say the skin is a new member in our team, and let's say you are my buddy because we have a buddy system. We assign a newbies to certain buddies. So
Mhm.
let's say you're my buddy, and the very first thing which I'm gonna teach you is to understand why you are being hired on this position.
Mhm.
If you don't understand why company has this department and why they have hired you, you will not be able to understand that. And it's very important for you to make sure your customer will understand why you are here and
Mhm.
why company has assigned their accounts to you, why they trust you. Number one thing. Secondly, when you are a customer success manager in any company or you're doing this role for the first time, there are different emotional things going on in your mind. Because I've been interacting with a lot of newbies, so, as I said in the start, when I'm making calls when I was a newbie, I used to have that mindset the customer is busy, I have to wrap up the call quick. So, the very first thing is you don't need to do that, number one. Number two, you need to understand that for the first 90 days, your job should be to tell your customers that you are here as your customer success manager. You don't have to run after numbers that you have to close certain number of calls, you have to do certain number of reviews. No, don't run after numbers. But people do this mistake. They run after numbers because they want to show that how good they are. But
Mhm.
no, that is a fall down at some point in time.
Yeah.
For the first 90 days or 60 days, you need to make sure that your job only is to tell your customer that the skiing Iqbal is there to help them create that visibility. Right now, they don't know who the skin is. How
Mhm.
they will know when you will do intro calls with them and
Mhm.
tell them who you are. Don't overwhelm them with a lot of information that you do this, and you have to do this, you have to do this. Just tell them who you are.
Mhm.
That's all.
Yeah.
And for the first 90 days, I've seen people who who got really sad emotions that this job is very tough. Customers are not talking to me, and we have to run after our customers to get our KPIs done.
Mm,
But I told them, and I was feeling the same thing. But I told the newbies that this is for the first 90 or 60 days. Once they know the Skinny and Hassan Akram is there as a CSM, then they will run after you, and you'll be in a busy position to help them because you're dealing with multiple accounts.
mhm,
So do not get panic. Realize why you are here and understand why you are here. Strategize and then move on, because this psychological thing, I have been through that thing. So that is why now I try to tell every single person who is new that
mm,
this will happen,
yeah.
because these are the things which enablement team or the training departments, they don't focus on that. Why? Because they're
Mm,
just trainers. They haven't been through all this
mm,
emotional life cycle.
mm,
Since I am doing that, I'm in the battlefield, so I am in a better position to share my knowledge with them. That's number one, that there is a phase to your job, so keep that in mind.
mhm,
Number two, that when you are good in introducing yourself to the customer, the second phase would be to interact with the customers, talk to them, help them. Now, at that point in time, it is very important for you to start strategizing your talks.
mhm,
Your intro call is done. Now you need to have, and meanwhile, when you are having that 90-day phase, spend some time to learn the product knowledge as much as you can,
mm,
because you're not in a hotspot or pressurized, so you can be in a good position to learn different knowledge. The way I do it, in the last hour of my shift, because the pickup rate is very low, customer don't pick up the call. So I spend last hour exploring through different Slack channels, exploring through different articles to equip myself with the latest updates. And I should know that if customer asks me certain question, I know how to answer. So
mm,
I spent last hour on myself to increase my product knowledge and to get myself up to date with all the latest happenings. So if and the third thing for a newbie is very important is smart navigation of the system. You have a lot of tools in front of you. You have to use those tools to answer questions or to see where the data is. And if you don't know how to smartly navigate through system, again, you're in trouble.
mm,
Like I'm giving you a small example. We use Salesforce. Salesforce is not a piece of cake for everyone.
yeah.
But if you know where to get the relevant data,
Mhm,
navigation, smart way, you do that. One small example, since I am always a person who is keen to learn new things. So whenever I'm stuck at a point where some feature is available, but I don't know about that, normally what people used to do, there's a Slack channel, they go there, type in that this is the query of the customer, can you answer? They try to seek help from different team. But my approach is totally different. I don't want to wait. What I do, our Slack channel has got a lot of information, conversations from different people from different departments. I type the keyword at the top search bar of Slack, press enter, I get all the information pertaining to that kind of a conversation which anyone used to have in the past. And then
mm,
when someone has asked that question in the past and they got the answers, so instead of me waiting for an answer to a particular channel, I got a smart way to fetch the information in few seconds and
mhm.
deliver that to the customer.
And do you also like your, you said they are your buddies, do you get them in your calls with you in the beginning to just demonstrate them how you deal? So are they like in some calls in the beginning, in few?
Yeah, so there is a shadow session, so in which they have to shadow, the newbie have to shadow us the whole day
Mm,
before they get into the calls. So yeah, we do shadow them, and sometimes I take them to my executive business reviews as an
mm,
observer,
yeah.
and just to see my workflow, how I am asking questions, which question I'm asking, which questions I'm not asking, so that they get the gist of um, how it feels to be when you are in an executive business review. So yeah,
And do
there's
you
a
also
process.
check them? Like, what did you like? Did you sit with them down and do you say, hey, what did you learn from the executive business review meeting? Or like, how do you check that they got something, or do you have a strategy? Or
You know what, the scheme, you know what, you're asking me all those questions which I already have in my mind to answer. And my next answer was, regarding, so yeah. So recently I've been assigned a newbie, so I'm actually helping him. And after my executive business review, when customer was removed from the meeting, I asked him, "What have you learned from this meeting?" My first question is like, "What have you
Mhm.
learned from this meeting?"
Yeah.
And then he's telling me, "Okay, I've learned blah blah blah. You have learned this. I've learned this." Then my next question is, what you could have done differently if you were doing this executive business review? Because
Mhm.
learning is a two-way process. I don't call myself an expert. Maybe I can learn something from you.
Yeah.
Maybe I can learn something from newbie, and I'm actually very open to that. So I
Yeah.
asked them, how you would have done differently, so that if something which I am missing, because I have a lot of things on my plate, so maybe I can learn something from them because they have a fresh brain, and I can learn from them as well. So that's way I learned myself if there's something which was missing on my part. And then I also asked them, yeah, then since they are my buddy, so after having that conversation, I tell them, okay, let's say now you are a CSM, I'm a customer, so let's do a mock meeting because
Mm.
you have learned a lot of things.
That would
Let's
be my next
practice.
question. Exactly that.
Whee!
See? Yeah, mock meeting. Yeah. And how do you do that?
Yeah. So I tell them that I'm a customer
Mm.
and you are CSM, so let's do mock. And the very first thing which I have observed in all the newbies, that's okay, that's natural because I was the same. Uh, so the newbies, what they try to do, they try to, because they know business reviews about features, talks, and stuff like that. They, they the very common mistake they do, they have one-way conversation. When I'm saying one-way conversation, let's say you are a customer and I'm a CSM. So I'm
Mm.
saying, hello, the scheme, how are you? You said good and everything. Then I'll talk about, okay, this is a dashboard, this is what we have, this is what we have, this is what we have, this is where from we get data. But I stopped them right there and I asked them, dude, it should be a two-way conversation. Now, I am a customer success manager, the scene is a customer. Let's say if I said the skin, how you doing? You said, okay, I'm fine. Then I'll ask you that, let's say there's a feature, a dispatch feature, which was
Mm.
recently introduced. I'll ask you, uh, how do you manage the dispatch at the moment? Now, if you see, the previous approach was, this is a dispatch feature, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. But in the second conversation, I'm actually trying to understand, how do you manage that? Maybe you have a very cool third-party software with a lot of features, and the thing which I'm showing you is just nothing in front of that feature. So the whole conversation is of no use. It's a
Yeah.
waste of time.
Yeah.
Or let's say we have a feature where we help our customers to see a report of idling of that truck. When truck is idle, that means it's stopped, but the engine is on, so a lot of fuel is being wasted.
Mm.
So what newbies used to do, or they do, they say, okay, we have this feature, you can save fuel. So you go to this, this is the report, you can save this much of bucks.
Mm.
Now, the customer replied, dude, I'm not concerned about the fuel. So
Mm.
because there is a reason, the business model is in a way that they are not concerned. But if I would be in that TSM position, I will ask, sir, can you tell me that if fuel wastage or idling of fuel is a concern for you? I'll try to ask questions. He will say no, then I don't need to tell him what that feature does, because that's a
Mm.
waste of time. So understanding the questions. Oh, so two-way conversation. We're talking about so one way is you overwhelm them with a lot of information, and at the end of the day, they will learn zero
Mm.
knowledge. They will never come back to your executive business reviews minded, because
Yeah.
you have wasted their precious 30 minutes. But but at the same time, if you will understand their needs and you give them a chance to speak, that software I was talking about, Sonaro, it
Yeah.
gives you the percentage of the speaker who spoke the most. So
Oh.
in one of the conversation in the last Friday meeting, I checked, I gave out of 100, 70% I gave chance to the customer to speak. Can you believe?
Whoa. Yeah.
So it was a two-way conversation, and it should be two-way conversation. Otherwise, you are going nowhere at all, and it's a big disaster.
And you sit down when you do the mock meeting with your buddies that with the tool and say, see, I was the customer and this is the result of the meeting. And you use that tool and say, see, you talk so much percent and I just got the chance to talk like 20% and that's not good. Like
Well, yeah, so that software is totally a new, and I'm using a trial version. So I do not talk about that software with the newbies because I
yeah,
don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
information.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but I tell them how it should have been done by showing them how I have done that in my EBR.
Yeah, and I just realized that preparing the mindset of the customer is really important. So there are two ways. Either I give them the information, this, or I prepared the mindset of a customer by saying, okay, how are you currently using it? Expect answer, because also when we teach, we have two ways of teaching students things. For example, I stand in front and do my presentation, or I continuously ask like my students, okay, what did you understand? How do you do that? How do you? And these questioning makes them more observative to the content and listens, like they listen and more carefully when I currently ask them some questions. And when they listen, they're like mentally prepared into that direction, like better. And you just gave me a proper strategy on how to do a conversation or preparing customers on, instead of just giving the information and saying yes or no, they will probably say no. But if you prepare them, if you ask them strategically, they will, okay, actually it makes sense. And you also prepare yourself of things that might be used from the competitors, because you get the informations of your customers, and ask them, hey, what else are you using right now, no? And my
Yeah.
like final question in this regard would be, um, if you have like a customer who, like, it happens a lot, you have had a really good relationship with this customer, and
One
now,
second, one second. I have to turn on the fan. I'm actually one second.
yeah, I will wait.
I'm back.
Yes. Just a final question. Was that what was it again? Yeah, okay. When you have like a relationship built with a customer, relationship building is really important. I just realized, and you have like for the past 2 years a good relationship with a customer, and now the customer, he was a project manager or whatsoever, or safety manager, and the safety manager changes. A new safety manager comes. How do you deal with that? Like, what are your strategies? Do you talk about the previous safety manager, about the previous goals? What is your approach to that?
Yeah, so if someone is new in the company, I call that I mean that is the best way for me to build a relationship with that customer. Why? Because that person is like a new baby. Whatever way I'm gonna mold that person into, it's easy for me because I am in a better position to because I know the business model of their company because I was talking to the previous person. I know how they operate. So I don't have to ask a lot of questions from the customer in terms of how they run the business because I know that. In fact, when I show that to the customer that I know a lot of stuff about your company, he will feel that he's in good hands because that dude knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So my job is very easy. I just have to train him on the platform which he's using. And one thing which I asked them recently, I was having a conversation with the daughter of the owner of the company, and I was like, now you see the kind of conversation. I mean, if we talk about uh, a conventional or a sophisticated conversation, I would be focused towards work. But when she told me that she is the daughter of um, the owner, you know what my next question was, and I was entertaining her for the first time. I was like, okay, so you're working under your father now, and you must be on his payroll, and you must not be getting special treatment because you're an employee now. And she laughed and she said, yes, yes, because my father is actually very strict on these things, and yes, he's not treating me specially in a special way. So yes, I am just like an ordinary employee. And uh, then further on, I mean, that was a way to break the ice at the
Mm,
start, so that she feels comfortable with me. And while having that conversation, now our dashboard has got a lot of things. I asked her, what was your previous role or what job you used to do, just to understand if she has got the industry knowledge of trucking or was in a total different domain. Because if she's in total different domain, then I have to spend more man hours to train her. And now I told her that this is the dashboard. You're not familiar with the trucking industry. Now you tell me which part interests you the most.
yeah,
Because I'm going to tell you that's different. I want to see which part excites you the most. She told
yeah,
me safety. And you know what? My next reply was, again, it's about conversation.
yeah,
I said, okay, safety. That means you're a person who's trying to influence people. When I'm saying influence people, you are trying, when you use safety feature, you will coach your drivers. And when you coach your drivers, you become a trainer. And
yeah,
when you become a trainer, you can use this skill outside trucking industry as well, because now you are actually making those drivers realize they're doing this mistake. You're influencing them, you're
yeah,
changing their mindset or behavior using our tools. So you become a trainer and you
yeah,
use these skills outside the world, outside this job. So, I mean, I could have said, okay, safety, let's talk about safety, but
yeah.
the way you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, that left an impact on her, a huge impact.
There's a very famous saying that people will not remember what they talk about or what they're purchasing from you, but they will remember how you make them feel.
Mm,
That's very important. And you will be surprised at the end of the conversation, she was an Indian customer. She was basically Indian. So I asked her, are you from India? She said, no, I'm from Canada, but yeah, my father and yeah, we used to live in India. And again, she said, okay, I asked her, can you speak in Hindi? She said, no, I can speak in Punjabi. And I was like, at the balle balle ho gaya sir. So she laughed, and she also mentioned that, yeah, do you speak Urdu? Because I see you're from Pakistan. I said, yeah, I speak Urdu. And then I told her that I love Bhangra songs. And it gives a lot of adrenaline rush. You feel good. So the end of the conversation was also about other stuff. And that leads me to another meeting, which I have scheduled in the next week. So my KPI are being fulfilled automatically. I don't have to struggle. And at the same time, I'm impacting my customers as well.
yeah. Well, you talked about KPIs. Like, what are the KPIs of in your company of a customer success manager?
Yeah. So we have to do certain number of, I'm not gonna give you numbers because that
No,
can
no,
vary
that's
from different.
important.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to make calls every single day. That's one KPI. And when we're making calls, there is a certain threshold which we have to maintain at the end of the quarter. Then our second KPI is to do executive business reviews with the customers. It doesn't have to be quarterly. It can be monthly. It can be bi-weekly. It depends on the customer,
Mm,
how comfortable he is with you guys. That's
mm,
second KPI. Third KPI is renewals. So let's say you're a customer and your renewal is on December.
mm,
So my job is to initiate that conversation of renewal 60 or 90 days prior to the renewal. So that in case customer wants to make some changes to his contract, maybe want to remove few hardware or add few hardware, we should know.
yeah.
Or maybe he wants to completely cancel, because if he want to completely cancel, we tell our management that the customer will cancel. So they do forecasting of churn on the base of if customer wants to renew or not. So the third thing is renewal. The fourth thing is upsell. Uh, we don't have aggressive targets on upsell, but that is one part of KPI to do some upsells as well. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the main. Yeah, these are the main KPIs.
And in the beginning, you also said that you do, I have forgotten the name of the club, but there is a certain club where you get leadership skills and that are related to customer success management. And I just wanted to end the conversation, but I thought maybe I should ask also what kind of leadership skills are you talking about? But because this is special, this is not what other customer success managers have. Like, if I have the opportunity, I should ask you.
Right. The energy you see in my personality, the the aggressiveness you see, a good aggressiveness you see in my personality, I think it's all about Toastmasters. Now, when I'm saying why or that thing is helping me, there are two things. Understand the concept of Toastmasters first. It's a small concept. Then you will realize how I can relate that. So when you go to Toastmasters meeting, number one, you have a president who got changed every 1 year after elections.
Mhm.
Under the president, you have different people: VP Education, VP PR, VP Membership. They have different roles. When I joined Toastmasters, I joined with the intent of becoming a good public speaker. So I'll explain what the roles are, and then I'll explain what how you become a good leader. So when you're a member of a Toastmasters club, there are three segments. Number one segment is there is a table topic master. Let's say you're a table topic master. You will be on the stage and you will call random folks on the stage, give them a topic, and ask them to speak for a minimum of 1 minute on that topic right away. And you have to think at the same time and
Whoa.
execute at the same time.
Oof.
That's called impromptu speaking.
Mhm.
Now, since I have been doing that for the past 2 years, so even if a random question is thrown at me from customer, I always have an answer to that question because of that practice.
Yeah.
Second, second, since when you become a member, it's a paid membership club. It's not a very hefty amount you have to pay, very small amount you have to pay. So when you are a member of Toastmasters Club and they assign you a certain curriculum, so you have to deliver different projects. So second segment is you have to deliver a speech of minimum 5 minutes, and in that speech they teach you how to impress an audience. That's I'll talk about later. Third segment is the evaluation. Someone who already been assigned to you as your evaluator, he will listen to your speech, whatever is being displayed, or you have shown your skill on the stage as in terms of speaking. You will be given a feedback using a sandwich approach. That's what we do. Good parts, areas of improvement, and close that evaluation with good part, so that that is not going to be a dead feedback, so you will not feel offended. At the same time, you will learn and your morale is high. So these three segments is actually helping me in my job. Secondly, leadership. So I joined as a VP membership. Then they gave me a chance to become a president. So when you are a president of a club, which is, and you're not paying a single penny to your team, and then you are asking them to deliver certain tasks at the same time, if you can pull that in a clean way, you are a good manager. And that's what I did. My club performance was amazing. We got different awards. So now I'm still part of that Toastmasters community. And now the next my jump is after president, area director. Now I'm managing 6 clubs. Basically, I'm mentoring 6 clubs. I'm the mentor. My next jump would be division director, where I'll be managing different areas. So the impromptu speaking is helping me talking to the customers. The presidential or the area director thing, which I'm doing, since being at the top level position, you have to strategize different things. So the strategy part is coming from this Toastmaster thingy. And evaluation and understanding the customer sentiment, because when you are have to use a sandwich approach, you need to be very careful with your words and the way you position your evaluation. So the positioning part and the way I'm actually giving them a feedback, or when I'm a newbie, when I've been assigned a newbie, I am giving them a feedback. So these all things are being covered using that Toastmasters club.
You can like do the whole human resource department at your company because you have so much skills now, or you can do also the training session because you can say to the newbies, hey, do an impromptu speech in 1 minute about this topic of our company. Like, I just have the feeling that you could also do, this is a good training technique, like saying do an impromptu speech about that and that topic or about that feature and stuff. So I
And
would.